Well, everyone I'm talking to from a client side, our budgets are going up in that line item. But it affects everything. It affects everything from the site selection process right through to the delivery standpoint. So this has probably become, in some of the discussions I've had with client colleagues, item number one. What would you say, Ben?
I would totally agree. Safety and security is the biggest issue that we currently have in our business, and people are talking about it continually. The good thing about the conversation is that everybody's engaged in it. So you have cities engaged in it, you have the companies that are taking care of guests and clients that are talking about it, and everybody has it top of mind. And it's not about taking responsibility for your clients or for your guests. It's about providing the information that people need. So cities and DMOs and those who are engaged in events, they're very conscious of that.
Well, I agree. And then I think you've got the whole risk mitigation issue, though, because we do have a duty of care as event managers. So there is this issue of risk mitigation and what all that entails to, God forbid anything happens, but we have to be able to demonstrate that we took due diligence and care in assessing the level of risk and then managing the level of risk. And to your point, that really takes everybody that we normally work with in a community to make this happen. And I'm not sure that we're there yet. Obviously, this is still something in motion, but I think there's a lot of room for the destinations, the venues, the hotels to really come together better and help us look at this holistically. Right now, I feel we're kind of, yes, dealing with the convention center, but that may not tie in yet to the how the hotels are going to work. And from a community standpoint, I think that's an area that there's some room for improvement.
And I think the issue here is communication. This is all about communication and the role that we have. Hotels, airports, convention centers, safety is their business because they need to make it their business. It's very important that the people who are planning the meetings are totally cognizant of that fact. And the key thing that over time I've learned about safety and security is not to overplan. So anything that you do in risk mitigation is that you need to embed it into the procedures that you normally have. It's an issue of whoever takes responsibility in a normal situation needs to take responsibility in a crisis situation. The chain of command needs to be clear. There needs to be clarity over issues. The good thing is that people have it top of mind. We're not there yet, not in every destination, but there are companies, and both our companies are very cognizant of the fact that we need to do something there. So it's all about responsibility, it's all about accountability, but it's all about communication as well. Communication is really the key issue in both safety and security because we can't prevent anything from happening, regretfully, and we've seen it in large events. And conference and gatherings of, large gatherings of people, they attract the attention of other people, or they could do. So, like I say, to me, it's really the key thing here is the communication between the different communities that have our guests as their guests, and make sure that we have the right procedures of communication in place. And we're working towards that.
But it is fascinating because I've just within the last week I've probably talked with about 20 different colleagues, and to a person, they have taken dramatic steps to increase the security at their events. I mean, bomb-sniffing dogs and all sorts of stuff that, frankly, I find amazing. And it is interesting to me what you want to demonstrate, what you want to get across, how you communicate to your attendees, and what you communicate to your attendees. And it's one of those issues where, do you elevate it to a degree where it's really obvious, or is it just part of the background and not necessarily seen? What do we need to do to establish that level of comfort and let our attendees know that we have thought about it and we are taking care of them without making this even a bigger issue than we all want it to be? So there's a delicate balance going on that I don't know we've quite figured out how to play it.
These are all really great points, Greg. I remember, we're all older than 15 years, and I remember, you know, the 70s in London when it was exactly that. You know, everywhere you went through security issues or security porches, et cetera, et cetera. We shouldn't forget that safety and security is not a new thing. It's a thing that has been around. We're top of mind, and that's a good thing. We're conscious of it. And I totally agree with you. There needs to be a balance between making people feel safe, but that's very much the optics. So that's communication, PR if you like, but that's, and then there is the issue of knowing what you're actually doing, because the best security is really in the background. It's know when you need to communicate, it's know when you have to put things in place, and it's also knowing not to create a feeling of scaredness, because these mega measures, does that actually make you feel more safe? And I think the answer to that is probably not, because you probably affect people's behavior in that way. So, like you say, very important topic for meeting planning companies, because we are definitely not alone in something like this. And the bigger the event is, you need to make sure that all the authorities that have the decision-making powers, which we do not, that they're involved in all of that.
Right, but I think that's where the experience level of Experian or Talley Management Group, you know, we work globally.
Exactly.
We know what the issues are. We know the questions to ask. We know who we need to engage in that dialogue, and then who we hold accountable for making it happen. And I think that's the value of companies like ours.